This is Abhyuday Agarwal, COO and Co-founder of LawSikho, and today we are going to have a conversation on how can I get a PPO in a law firm and what should my strategy be. Okay, so I've asked all of you to share where you are currently in your law school journey and on in your aspirations also with respect to your aspirations to get a PPO. Where do you stand currently? Okay. Okay, so some of you are studying one or more of our courses. I can identify that. Okay, Madhu got it. Uh, what about the others? Please share what you're currently doing. Okay, so I'm going to share a short. Uh, I'm going to share what happened when I wanted to get a PPO. Okay, so back in 2010, 2011, you could get PPOs in one of two ways. You could get a PPO by getting recruited at a foreign law firm, or you could get a PPO by uh, through an Indian law firm. Foreign law firm interviews happened a year before for either their vacation schemes or uh, for direct recruitment. Okay, usually now some law firms directly recruited you through their selection process, and others give you a vacation scheme. So in the beginning of your fourth year, in the first semester of your fourth year, that would be like your eighth semester, seventh semester. That's when they'd come and they would have they would have an application process. There would be an India pool where the Magic Circle firms and some Silver Circle firms would recruit you, and after that, they would if so so there'll be an application process, and once if you're shortlisted for the through the application process, then there'll be a short interview round which will have a case study and all of that, and there'll be a HR interview. There may be some kind of a technical interview, but the case study would be the technical one. And if you cleared that, then you could get a vacation scheme. If you did well at the vacation scheme, this would be your final vacation, okay, your fourth year end vacation. Then you could get a PPO, okay, like a trainee contract. And I had the aspiration of working in a foreign law firm, and I had a very good CV. So I had a batch topper CV. I was from NUJS. I had some good Indian law firm internships. I had AZB, I had Luthra in my CV, and I was very kicked. I was from the beginning of my third year. I was focusing on making a career in corporate law. And if you are in an NLU, then working in a foreign law firm is the highest you can aim. So I was really excited for that. Okay, and I had the right criteria to get shortlisted for interviews. I got shortlisted for 3 law firm interviews: Herbert Smith, Allen and Overy, and Ashurst. Okay, and in the interview round, I I couldn't clear past. So there were 3. Uh, one second, just checking something. Yeah, so there were so each time in each of those interviews, somebody else from my batch got made it past the interview, but in each of those 3, I couldn't make it. And people from my batch said that, if I've got shortlisted for 3 interviews, then I must definitely, have a very good chance of at least getting one. Okay, and I didn't make it past any of the firms, and I was really like sad. Okay, and I had followed every little advice that you can get. We had seniors from college who had made it to each of these firms, not Ashurst, but Herbert Smith, Allen and Overy, yes. And so I asked them to take my mock interviews. I asked them to tell me more about the application process, and I asked them about the case study round. And I'm going to share some kinds of advice that I got and how I prepared. And I'll also share. So I did all of that. They said read pink newspapers. That's business newspapers. They said it's the case study is going to be primarily common sense. Um, and and in the interview round, they took a few mocks based on how their interviews went. And I practiced all of that, and I prepared for the same interview like 3-4 times. I did a mock interview for each firm. Okay, this is how it went. This was my preparation. But on the day of the interviews, things went very differently. For one, I had way higher nervousness despite being prepared. Second, I did not find a lot of opportunity to use the additional knowledge and awareness, commercial awareness that I had. Okay. And what was the awareness that I had? I had knowledge of a lot of business deals, and I had interest in corporate law. Okay. Which I cultivated by reading certain books, but I didn't exactly get an opportunity to speak about it in the interview. And in the case study rounds, it didn't look like to me that there was common sense involved. It looked more like there was a technical thing. For example, in the Allen and Overy interview, they gave a balance sheet for a target company that was to be acquired, and uh, and we had to figure out certain aspects by reading the balance sheet and answer certain questions. Then in the Herbert Smith round, there was a letter of intent that we had to prepare. So it was quite technical, and we had to sort of draft it out, and we had to identify commercials, of course, but we had to put it in a as though we were working on a commercial deal. And I was like, this doesn't sound exactly like common sense, and it would have been great if I'd had even an inkling of an idea that this is what I should know. I could have prepared for it beforehand. Okay. And no matter how much I searched on the internet and how many books I had looked at earlier, and even after my interview rounds, okay, because see, after you are not able to make it, you still want the solutions, right? What's the right answer? And I didn't find those answers. So I didn't know where I'd gone wrong. With the case study or with the interview. As far as the case study goes, well, I knew that I was underprepared, and I did not know how I could have prepared more for it or better for it. As far as the interview rounds go, I just didn't connect enough. I wasn't authentic enough. I was too, let's say, shy, and I was waiting for the interviewers to ask me questions so that I would have an opportunity to say what I know. And I wasn't leading the interviews by any means. So I was a passive interviewee. If they would have asked me questions pertaining to my legal knowledge, I might have cracked it, but otherwise it wasn't working. And it was difficult for the interviewers to ask me questions about my legal knowledge because they are from UK, and what will they want to know? Like and I think at their level, it is superficial to ask me even about commercial deals pertaining to international transactions. Like that wouldn't demonstrate my interest, let's say, to move to work in London for a period of time in my life. So they didn't ask me all those questions, whereas I thought that all of that is going to be important. And yeah, so that's what happened for that year. And in my fourth year, I was pretty sad, and I was looking at what else can I do to be better at corporate law to improve my learning. And in fifth year, we had three Indian firm interviews which I gave, and I cracked the like three top law firms in India. And I finally chose to take up the offer with Trilegal. But there was a difference in the process, and it was the Indian law firm interview was more technical and more testing my knowledge and more adapted to my need. But what I realized after the process was that uh, it's not what people say it is. Like the methods, a lot of people who cracked it, my seniors who cracked it, they cracked it because they had some intrinsic qualities, or they had some prior experience which they couldn't prior experience or just upbringing, I don't know what it was, but they couldn't exactly state what made them do it successfully, and where which they would have done naturally, and I got stuck at the places where they could make it past. And then I realized that I think it's a matter of preparation. There were two ways to think of it. One way was to think of it as though I am inferior, not good enough, and I thought of it that way for a long time, until I finally got into training and I realized what a recruiter is looking at when I was hiring people while building IP leaders, while building LawSikho. Okay. But however, um, Asa, I will share the PPT 1 second. So I realized that, okay, and uh, but that time was over, right? So for 1 year I was in that phase for 1 2 years, but then I realized that what is lacking is preparation and a method. So I want to, for that reason, and this wasn't unique to me. I know that thousands, lakhs of students face this. Okay, every year there are 1 lakh law students graduating. There are 5 lakh young law students in different law schools in the country today. So I know that there is a common pattern that our internships, our experiences follow, and I want to share some of that with you. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, and before we get to exactly how to go about getting a PPO. Okay. A lot of law students I speak to today say in their third year, second year, like we have one of our students who says that from the second year he took up our M&A course in he took that up and he was like, sir, I want a PPO. And he's from a law school in Ghaziabad. And he was like, sir, I want a PPO. When can I get a PPO? And his only question he asked me was, when can I get a PPO? In the second year. Okay. And he's in a 5-year college. And he's now also working with us and doing very well. And also, he's working in our webinar team, calling a lot of senior lawyers to take webinars. But what is important here is that when are you looking at getting a PPO? Okay, so we're talking about a PPO, but a lot of you maybe in your second year, first year, fourth year, fifth year, wherever you are. Okay, PPO is the outcome; it's the end outcome. Okay, so don't look only at the PPO. Look at the PPO is the peak of the mountain you're climbing. Let's just look at it like that. Okay, look at the road first. Look at the trek. Look at the journey. So I'm starting from, let's say, your first year or second year or third year, your early internships, right? And I particularly like to call it this way, that our first few internships, if we go, if the usual way in which we intern is actually, it's like going to a zoo, right? We've been in the safety of a law school, learning law from the books. And this is exactly what happened for me also. From NUJS, I was in first year. I thought I've done something good in life, cracked a NUJS exam. I'm in one of the top 3 law schools of the country. Came back home and I realized that I don't know so many important things about law. Like, even if there's a local dispute in the building, I don't know Delhi municipal laws. I don't know building bylaws. I don't know how to get criminal process initiated. I don't know how to get civil disputes initiated. I didn't know anything. I took an internship at HRL, and it continued like that, right? You do a NGO internship, a trial court internship, and that's what I did. And each time it literally felt like I was in a zoo, because I am an observer. I'm in no way an actor. I'm in no way a player in the game of law or in the courts. Okay, I am just observing what's happening. Somebody's asking for a passover, somebody's taking an adjournment, somebody's winning a favorable order for a client, and I'm just following around. And I've seen that this is our common expectation. We expect our internships to give us exposure, but that exposure is almost like going to a zoo, right? You go and see things happening in the world and you're an observer. Like, somebody's doing something and you're not a part of it, you don't understand how to influence it. Now this approach, this how is this shaped? This is shaped by how we view our own internships. Now you can take it as the zoo style. Like, you can think of your internship as the place that expands your world, or you can think of your internship as the final championship which you're preparing for every day in your college. Okay, so that the month of your internship, every day it's like a competition, a championship, like an Olympic competition. You're there every day, you go there, perform, do well, get new work, get more work. But that means you will need to be self-aware about a world which you are not a part of. Okay, so just hold on to that thought, but just try to connect to this. That is it relatable when I say that your initial internship experiences, even the first time you go to a law firm, like every time you change your internship from an NGO to a trial court to a Supreme Court to a law firm, it is like every new internship is, oh, this is a new place, like new rules. I went to see a water park, I'm now going to see a zoo, now I'm going to see underwater scuba diving. It's like everything is new, right? So now you don't want that experience to get a PPO. Okay, you can have that experience, but that is reserve experience. That's the vacation experience of an internship. That's not a PPO experience. So what is the PPO experience? I'm going to jump in a little bit into the topic now, that what you're bringing into the internship is going to matter. Okay, start with that. What do you have on offer at the internship? And a lot of times we don't have a lot to offer except for our hard work, our ability to read and understand and analyze law. Okay, but everybody with us, there are like 80,000, 1 lakh law students every year. And a law firm, any big law firm receives hundreds, thousands of applications every day, and they have to like, it's very difficult to process those. Okay. So now the thing is that if you are not bringing in anything to the internship of value, you may even succeed in getting the internship, but that's not going to help you crack the internship. Okay. And I'm going to give you a short way to look at how, how you can actually look at your internship. What is your roadmap? But here, there's one more challenge here. Okay. So this is a pre-PPO work. Okay. And this is the pre-PPO work that is necessary for everybody to do. One, don't be an observer. Second, be clear that what you're going to bring in the internship. Even if you're a first year student, that's going to matter. Okay. Maybe you don't want to do a tier 1 internship in the first year because there may be an issue there. But we've had exceptional students who've worked in teams such as competition in big law firms from the second year also, or in tax. Okay. Although your law school syllabus doesn't teach that, but our students have done that because they had that kind of portfolio and they could contribute to those teams. So the recruiters made exceptions for them. Okay. So what you bring to the table is going to matter. Just keep that in mind. One of the things that makes you step back from getting a PPO, everybody takes this step, okay, is that in your initial years, you may think that either you're too young, you're not ready to decide on your area of interest, and you may think that there's this concept of what is the area I'm really interested in. I can't find anything that is of particular interest to me, and that is usually the killer, because you will waste time. And it's almost like you want to taste different ice creams before you choose which flavor to buy. But internship uh, in law firms and getting a PPO is not going to be like the Baskin Robbins ice cream purchase experience. Right? Baskin Robbins will offer you taste this ice cream, and then you buy one. But that's not how you're going to select your internship for a PPO. Is this making sense? A lot of us want to do that, right? Let's try one IP internship. Let's try one technology internship. Let's try one disputes internship. Then we'll see what we like. But it's fine if you want to try 3 internships to figure out your area of interest. But one thing to know at this point in time is you will not, like, internships are not waiting for you. There are lesser internships than the internship applicants. There are not 1 lakh 1 lakh internships waiting for you. Okay. And even if there were, a lot of seniors would prefer not to have an intern than to have a bad intern. Okay. And seniors have enough work to give interns, but provided the interns can do that work. Okay. So now here, what people frequently come up with, and this stays with you till 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, is that you are unable to narrow down. Every day I speak to graduates who have graduated from law school but haven't been able to find their true area of interest, because they say that I will measure it by whether I really love the subject. Okay. That's the wrong thing you're trying to love. You're a student of the law, you may love the law. Which law doesn't matter. Okay. What you want to love is providing a solution to a client, because you as a lawyer are a service provider. For that, you need to use the law. So whether it takes you to do draft a contract, do a diligence, perform a compliance, or draft a petition, file a petition, to anything required which involves usage of the law, what you've got to love is not the subject, but the solution, providing a solution to a client and solving a problem. Okay, if you love the right thing, then it will be far easier for you to get an internship or a job or a PPO. How exactly that happens, I'm not going to tell you that right now, but things start to fall in place as compared to somebody who says that I've not found my true area of interest, therefore I'm waiting. Because what you will do in that case is you will start applying to different places and not get responses. And in a lot of cases, people are even not able to fully focus and apply to the places they want to intern in. Okay. So how many of you have actually felt this? So why don't we start like interacting a little on chat? How many of you actually feel that, this idea of finding the real area of your interest has stopped you or, slowed you down in going forward? Because some of you would have identified and may be able to relate to this pattern. Yeah. And now just think of this. Okay. If you think that I am going to enjoy solving problems, then your internships will turn out to be then your internship journey is going to turn out to be different. You will pick up the opportunities that come your way merely because you want to solve problems. Where that will lead you and which area you will eventually start pursuing, that will vary. Okay. But the point is, you will go forward towards a PPO. And guess what? You came to this webinar to figure out not how to find your true area of interest, but how to get a PPO. So it's clear to you that what you want is actually a PPO and not really to find an area of interest. So that's the wrong objection to want to deal with. Correct. 2 to 3 years, people have uh, spent 5 years even not trying internships, and then what happens, is that you imagine that this is the kind of work I like to do, and the problem with that is you've not even done that work. Like so many people say that it's great to, let's say, operate from the Himalayas and work and live in the Himalayas and work 24/7. But for those people who go there and work, actually life becomes very different. You have to adjust to a different kind of lifestyle. If it's one thing to go there in a vacation and another thing to actually relocate properly, like you will face a new kind of issue. You will not, if you're used to urban life, you're going to find difficulty there building your social circle, you're having the same kind of amenities. So now same thing happens with your area of interest as well. Okay, because you you will develop a fancy towards things you have absolutely no idea about, and you will leave opportunities on the table to pursue your fancies. Okay. Okay, next one. Now, a lot of us think that because we are willing to work 10 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours for a senior, then it's a senior's ethical obligation to us to pay a stipend or at least to accept our internship application. Okay, but trust me that this is not, any help or any free help is not necessarily beneficial for a senior. Okay. And this is there, like there's a whole conversation going around on how seniors should be paying stipends, recognizing our work. And I definitely uh, feel for it. But if we also need to look at a senior's perspective, because understand this, that if it made sense for somebody who's senior to pay you, they would pay you also. That's one way of looking at it, right? Or if it made sense for somebody to hire you, they would. But what are we, but all, just because our help is free doesn't mean that we are skilled enough to make a contribution. In fact, a lot of times our help makes their life worse, and you can see this in your personal life also. Try to help your parent. Like if you are just identify one area you're really bad at. For example, at home, if you're really bad at cooking and you try to help your parents or somebody with cooking, okay, and you will make a mess of it. And what will your parents say? What will your mother say? She will say, you please don't try it, let me do it and get it done, right? So same thing happens with our internship as well. Because if we are not skilled at something, instead of helping, we end up making work more difficult for our seniors. And I'll give a very simple example how. So imagine that you weren't there and a senior had to do certain work. They had to maybe send a contract or a memo to a client. Okay. And they can do it, let's say, in 3 hours. This is 3 hours of work for your senior. But you go there as an untrained intern. First thing what you'll do, you'll ask for work. So the senior will think and find out what work to give you. They'll send you this document. They'll send you the client's email, or they'll explain what the client wants. And then they'll ask you to work on this document. Can they rely on you? They can't rely on you because you've got no proven track record. So they have to do this in parallel. If they rely on you, I'll tell you what happens. Okay. You do this work. They say you've got 3 hours to do it. You have no clue how to do it. So you will probably take 6 hours. So they'll do something else till then. After 6 hours, you'll go to them. You might have completely messed it up, or you may have done something else. Then they'll have to fix it. In the fixing of it, if you fix something which is bad, it may take 3 to 4 hours. It may take extra time. So they may take 4 hours to fix it. Okay. And then they will need to give you feedback, which will take another half an hour, 45 minutes. Okay. So that means that the whole day it has taken, the 3 hours that a senior could have done the work in has taken 11 hours of time difference. 4 hours for him to do, 45 minutes to give you feedback, and maybe another half an hour to brief you and share all the materials with you. So definitely 3 hours of work became 5 hours of work, plus the whole headache of coordination and management and some anxiety that will the work get done in time. Okay. Now that is where the problem is. Did you understand how 3 hours of work became 5 hours of work plus some emotional trouble for the senior at work? So just because you're willing to work is not going to um, make a senior want to have you. Okay, but then what is going to make a senior want to have you work with them? So I like to look at it this way, that at any internship you're there, at any job you're there, if you're performing at one level up, like what people say to me is that give me an opportunity, I'll prove myself. But that's the wrong way to look at the situation. In an intern's situation, you will get a PPO when you are doing the work of an associate. This I frequently say in the law firm workshop that I conduct, where I share with people a whole roadmap on how they can crack an internship or a job at any law firm in an area of their interest. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to register for that. It's a free workshop, this time for 3 hours, and I'll share with you how to register for that. So stay till the end in this one, okay? Okay, so now the question is that think of performing one level up. So you don't need to be given an opportunity to prove yourself that you're a good intern, okay? You need to be an associate in an intern's position. Okay, now I'm going to give you simple logic that if you are an associate in an intern's position and your internship gets over, then what is the firm going to do if they want you, if they want to not lose you? Okay, so you're on chat. Whoever is watching me on YouTube on chat, please write what's going to happen if you're working like an associate and your internship's going to get over and the firm wants to retain you. Right? Exactly, Pranav. So if you've not graduated, that's the best a firm can do. But why will they give you an internship? Guys, you're an associate, yeah? Nobody is so chindi that they'll give you only an internship when you're working like an associate. They'll say, take the job. Right? They'll say, take the job. They'll give you a PPO. Yes, if you didn't graduate, then they can't give you a PPO. So they'll say, come back. Keep coming back and we'll give you a job. Right? So now the question is that you need to realize that you have forget your previous internship, Pranav. Guys, you're not understanding. You are working like an associate at my firm, and I'm not even paying you salary, or I'm paying you some stipend, whereas I should be paying you 50, 60K. And that's the kind of work you're doing, and I'm going to lose you. So if you're earning 50, 60K, I'm pretty sure you'll be billing like 6 lakhs to a client or 12, 15 lakhs to a client at least. Okay. Why am I going to lose all of that? Okay, so I'm going to give you a job. Yeah, exactly. You got to be an asset for them. So it starts with realizing that actually your presence, you have the superpowers to make your seniors' life heaven or hell. Right? There were those videos going around on Instagram uh, during lockdown, where the first 3 months you didn't have any household help, no maid, nobody to take care of things, and then suddenly, after 3 months, it was like when the maid comes back, you're going to welcome the maid with a lot of eagerness, that yes, thank God, finally you're here, most welcome, I really respect your work. Right? So that's the kind of respect suddenly people started having for their household help. Now the thing is that you need to understand you have superpowers to make your seniors life heaven or hell. So how can you make it hell? Simply by making them take more time to get work done. Okay, so if you don't know how to do the work, automatically, if you are doing work, so it's going to be one of two things. If you don't know how to do the work, either you will not get work, which is a neutral scenario, no PPO, nothing happening. If you don't know how to do the work and you have work, you're going to make your senior's life worse. But if you know how to do the work, then your senior's life will improve. Right? Yeah, Pranav, making their tasks easy and freeing them by 6 p.m. If you can do that, then they will like go out of their way to get you a job, because they would probably get done anyway really late, right? And yeah, but think of it like this. If you can save them 2 hours a day, I don't know whether that'll be 6 p.m., 8 p.m., 7 p.m., what, but think of this, okay? Can I save even 2 hours a day? Because you're not paid, right? So you don't have an obligation to bill, but can you save them 2 hours a day because you're there? Not with grunt work only, okay? 2 hours a day of their own time. Okay, so can you handle a part of their work? And really think of that how can you save 2 hours a day for a senior? So that would at least go towards the heaven side, right? And when that happens, they start to want to give you work. So we didn't reach the PPO stage yet. You're not still working like an associate, but you're making your senior's life better by saving them 2 hours. What's going to happen with that? They'll start giving you more work. So you'll have opportunity to learn, get better, save them 3 hours, save them 4 hours until you're fully working like an associate. And the more prepared you go, the more number of hours you can save for them. And in any case, see, you're going to be spending the same kind of time, 8, 10, 11 hours. Now, understand this, because of this scenario, seniors are really wary about delegation, because they're like, I don't firstly know how to filter who's going to do my work, who's going to mess it up, who's going to complicate it for me. Okay. And they do not have a lot of interest in trying to, break down a project and delegate it, because chances that delegation will work are very, very slim. And that's not because they are bad at delegation, that's because delegation in the past has proven to be ineffective. Okay. So now a lot of people criticize me, saying that, seniors always want to train, they have a good mindset. And I have nothing against that. They definitely do want to train. But if you want a PPO, you want them not to have the obligation to train you, right? So one small question, okay, here, and people get into this trap from time to time, that somebody got an internship based on network and out of merit you're not getting an internship. Is there a difference? Do those people who have a network have a better chance of getting a job? I can tell you very, very clearly that merit based, that every firm recognizes that from time to time you need to extend favors, give internships to people who are like client contacts, or in any way, through they want to oblige someone, so they will need to give an internship. But the way merit based internships are assessed and the way network based internships are assessed is very, very different. And many firms are very clear that, by way of exception, someone may be good in a internship which they've got through their network, like, through a personal request, but merit based interns are always considered separately. Okay. So, and there are very few, like very barely any professional firms which say that I'm going to entirely recruit people from recommendation. That time is not now anymore. Okay. So you need to know that, people may have contacts, networks, may get internships, but that internship is merely going to be a decorative element in their CV. What you need to do is you need to figure out how you can get the internships you want and perform there, because otherwise star-studded internships will not help you crack interviews. Same thing that happened for me while cracking foreign law firm interviews. I had good Indian law firm internships, but what was needed for a foreign law firm was very different. So while I got shortlisted, I couldn't crack the interview. And for a lot of students, it happens that despite having fantastic internships, what is written about the internships is not good enough in your CV. Your track record is not there in the internships. So people even fail to get, calls to the interview. Forget cracking the interview, you don't get shortlisted for an interview. Now I'm going to explain to you something called a triple dilemma of the senior. Okay. So imagine a senior who works for 12 hours, 14 hours a day, and he or she gets an intern. So if you are working as an intern, now the senior has three choices. Imagine a day where they work for 12 hours, but today maybe it turned out to be a day where Pranav Sethi got them done at 6 p.m. Okay. And there's another intern there. Now, the question is that the senior is free at 6 p.m. from the day's work. Now, there are three options for the senior: go back home, relax, because there may have been a very tight schedule for the past few months. There may have been a transaction closing. The senior may have worked Sundays, may have done late nights a lot of the days of the week. So go back home, relax, catch up on sleep, spend time with family. Second option, if the senior is feeling like, okay, no problem, let me just work a little more, bill extra, get a new client. That's the second option they have. They can use some time to do an additional amount of work. Third option is not do any of that. Sit down and train the junior till the clock strikes 8, 9 p.m. Which one do you think they'd prefer? Right? Would they have first one? They may want to relax or they may want to build. But if they may want to train also, but I'm not sure they would want to train all the time. Like they may train for 10 minutes, they may have a chat with you, definitely. Yeah, but that's not going to be equivalent to a proper training for you. Correct. So now look at that. When you understand that world of a senior, you know that I need to be there. Now, on the other hand, imagine if you were contributing to the senior and they wanted to go home early. What will they say? Boss, I have this work. I need to get home early. Please do this for me. Now, what is that? That is an opportunity for you. Why? Because today, if the senior got needs to get free, has an emergency, or needs to just get somewhere, you've got additional work to do. You may need to stay till midnight, but if you get this done properly tomorrow, you will earn the senior's trust. Okay. And if you get that, the senior is also going to want to give you feedback. If you're even 80% there with that task, not 100%, the senior will say, thanks, man, you saved my life. You saved 2 hours for me in the morning. Okay. And they're going to be like really happy. They're going to go out of their way to recommend you to the HR to give you an internship, a follow on internship, or an assessment internship. If you're graduating, they will recommend to the partner to give you work or to call you at least for an interview. Right. And by the way, in many firms, they don't allow first year associates to give you work. They will want associates to have at least like they be in the second year or after 8 months to give you work. So you'll realize that a lot of times you're working with associates who've got 2-3 years of experience, and and sometimes you will be working on a project, on a transaction that the senior associate has. So any word of appreciation there is going to count. All you will have to do after that, it's not going to get you the job, but it will get you at least another callback or an interview. So it'll get you a chance. Okay. And all you'll have to do is just follow up that, okay, how you'll have to follow up so that you're called back for the interview, and just check in that, okay, when can you intern next, or whether you can get another interview. But that recommendation really counts. And yes, of course, there are Samaritan seniors who want to always consider that there are many seniors who are very clear that I am going to train interns. Okay, and I was meeting a senior lawyer. I was meeting 𝗀𝗵𝘁 sir on Saturday, and he was very clear. I said that we can help you get interns who are pre-trained and who can help reduce your work. And the way he was speaking to me, I clearly understood that he considers it a sense of his duty to just train whoever walks in his office. And of course, and he said that because of the lockdown and all, I have a space constraint and I don't want everybody to be in my office, which is why I've had to restrict interns. So that's also happened because people could not have every good lawyer could not have interns working remotely because of lack of systems. And he was like, because what interns have to do is they have to they have to prepare for my next day's case. They have to see what I'm going to do for the next day's case, come and watch me in the court. Okay. And they need to also prepare on some things that I tell them so that they understand what's going to happen. I'm going to do all the work, but they need to understand. So this is a very this is an approach where they're actually fully inclined to only train you irrespective of who walks in. But then, of course, even when they're shortlisting, they would have a shortlisting process, right? Anybody couldn't walk in without demonstrating interest, right? So yes, so there are seniors who consider training to be important, but now the question is not that. The question is they will train everyone, but who will they give a PPO to, and will you be the person who will get the PPO from them? That's the question. Yeah, correct, Ayushi. So that's a very, very nice approach. But the question still is, right, if they are training 10 people, are they giving PPO to those 10 people? They'll still shortlist, right? Somebody who will do the job for them. And that's going to be based on who is the most committed and who is the best capable. Yes, Mayank, you can ask for a call back from whoever you want. Making any request is okay all the time. Remember that, okay? And people are really scared about getting blasted. But remember that if you're not pissing off somebody, it's okay. Like, you can make a request for a call back. You can say, what are my chances of getting a job if I continue? You can have a normal conversation, human to human conversation. Now, given all this that I already shared, okay, what happens when when a law student is not able to get through? There is a very high sense of resignation. And usually this disappointment makes you find a reason that is going to slow you down even more. what is the popular reason? I am not from an NLU. I don't have contacts. I'm not a second generation lawyer. I don't have heritage in this profession. I am a first generation lawyer. Seniors have no courtesy. All of that are reasons that we give explanations to cover up the fact that we're not yet ready and we need to work on things, right? So it's very important to identify that whatever your resignation is, it's not going to help you if you continue with that. And if you are so clear that you're right about your resignations, then I have some homework from you for you. I've got examples of people who've beaten all the myths time after time, because I have been watching this space for 8 years, right? I'm into legal training for 8 years. I've been training people to crack the best law firm jobs, to build careers as litigators, as independent practitioners. So I've seen that. But for your mind to believe the evidence, you should find out exceptions and literally make a diary where you note them down. Okay. Maybe you want to cover and interview 3 exceptions who don't fit that rule that you have. Okay. And that's going to keep you motivated. But remember that the reasons you give yourself are not the real reasons. All those NLU reasons, not being a topper, not doing this, that is not the real reason. Okay. And very good, Ayushi. One more thing I want to say. So, there are people who use their network to get internships. That's great. But if you're not performing in those internships and only using them to deck up your CV, there's going to be a big problem. That's not going to guarantee you even an interview call. Forget the job, not even an interview call. And by the way, do you know what happens? What people write in their entries for big law firm work, they will say that, okay, researched on issues pertaining to Securities Contracts Regulation Act, researched on free transferability of shares, researched on FEMA. So these are very, very generic uh, topics. And, in an interviewer doesn't know what to even ask you. And when you are actually going to sit in an interview, you will not know what to say also. Many people forget the kind of stuff they worked on. Okay. They don't remember the transactions. There were so many transactions I worked on in the real estate sector in my third year internship. I had absolutely no memory by the time I reached fifth year. And what people try to do is either invent new stories, or they try to revise the law around the topics they wrote. But all that is barely asked. Okay, the interviewer will see what is the relevant or the closest issue pertaining to the practice, look for whether you've got any of that in your CV, and ask you questions. Which is why practice area specific track record is very important. So today it's not the time to say that, okay, I know Companies Act, therefore I should get a corporate law firm job. No, it's practice area specific. I know project finance because I have done this work on project finance. Now, you may not have worked on a deal, but you may have studied a deal and written on project finance structures and how they work in India, or on banking finance transactions, or on M&A transactions, okay, or on technology contracts, or on capital markets transactions. You may have actually done some work on that. You may have prepared a draft red herring prospectus for a mock IPO. Okay, now that is what they want to talk to you about. Okay. Mayank, previous internships, publications, moots can have a bearing if you are working on a relevant issue. So I had, in my Ashurst interview, I had done an NLU Delhi corporate law moot, and our team had won that moot. Okay. So I was representing NUJS and I was a speaker in the team, and we had won the moot. But it was a problem on the takeover code. It was a 3-4 page problem, and it was on indirect acquisitions. It's a slightly complex concept for somebody who's not very familiar with it. We had won the moot. Despite that, when I tried to explain to the partners the structure of the problem and what we did, it never, like, I could not communicate it clearly. Why? Because it was so complex. So it wasn't really possible for them to test me on it easily. Okay, so however, if I wrote even a 5-page article on how indirect acquisitions work in recent SEBI rulings and the process step-by-step timelines, that would have worked better than the analytical problem that I solved in the moot, because I had to frame the issue, and that required me to give them like 3 pages of facts. So that is a little pitfall of using moot court experiences sometimes to and people think that somehow the moot court tells the partner that I am, I have some rites of passage. But that's not the case. Like, there is no connection. However, there can be exceptional scenarios where, let's say, you went to an international moot, like, you went to the 𝗀𝗻𝐶 Vienna moot, and your team was in the final or semi-final, the global semi-final, and you've got a partner recruiting you, working on arbitration, or they've themselves participated in the moot back 10 years back, 20 years back. They may consider that very highly, okay, because they remember that journey. But in general, if you ask me whether you can just have right that I did this moot and use it to get a PPO, that's not going to happen. Uh, Shreya, do I mean that publications matter more than moots for a job? So I can say, I would say the track record matters more. Okay, and that includes publications, but the type of public, I don't know which type of publications you're talking about. The kind of publications that matter are, again, that area specific. Okay, on Sunday, for example, Sunday 6 to 9 p.m, I'm going to show you what these practice area specific publications look like. And I can actually tell you that if you're targeting, let's say, okay, I want to work in technology law practice of a big firm, so I'll show you how to look at a firm's work profile and identify that how to, what kind of work they did, and then work on your track record based on that. So you will reverse engineer the process. Like when you work for a competitive exam, you see the past year's papers and do it, right? That's how people start preparation, and of course they need a lot of help on the journey after that. But when you start looking at a law firm job, very few of us look at the industry, that what are the law firms working on. I want to be an IPR lawyer, I want to be a technology lawyer, but nobody knows what technology lawyers are doing. Okay, now if you could reverse engineer that, you could find the top 5-10 firms and see that this is the kind of technology law work they're doing, and then you could build your publications around that, not on academic stuff but on client focused content. Something that a associate or a senior associate or a partner can read and understand, even if they don't get a new insight, at least they can read and understand that how this applies to my practice. Okay, now that's going to matter, Shreya. Okay, Pranav, I can't say if moods even help you in securing internships. I give you an example how it can help you, even in getting a job, where the partner has actually done that mood and they realize that how prestigious it was in their lives or in their time. Okay, but in general, like just generally going for a mood will not help. But I'm not saying not to mood, because participating in a mood gives you an exposure to a certain kind of thinking. Okay, I definitely have reservations about devoting your entire law school life to mooting. Okay, so those are two different things. So you must definitely have an experience of it, because it opens your mind in a certain way to think in a different direction. Okay, now a perfect internship experience is what, a lot of times we think that my internship experience was superb. People were amazing with me. I did all the work that was given to me. Nobody said a word, nobody said bad things. It was a great time and I would love to have this in my job. And because there was no problem, you feel that the internship was great, you enjoyed it, and you particularly rely on your own experience of enjoyment that this will work. Now this is a problematic sign. Okay, there are so many people who get good internship, who have great internship experiences with absolutely nothing to follow up with. Like they don't get a call back, they don't get a job, they don't get anything later, and they're like, why did this not work out for me? So what you're looking for is not a smooth joyride. You're not looking for a perfect internship experience. You want an internship experience where you build deep connections, do great work. Okay, and it can throw your life upside down, doesn't matter. You may work 10 hours, 12 hours, it doesn't matter. When I was doing internships in fourth year, third year, I was like doing 6 weeks, 8 weeks straight, and I would have a very unstructured schedule and I would come back home very late from my internship. But it wasn't a perfect internship experience. There was tons of stuff to do. And you must remember that, smooth, bumpless internship experience is not going to be a hallmark of getting a callback or an interview. Sure, Ayushi, Aditya, I will answer your questions. Okay, Rutuja, yours as well. Pranav, my college timings in NUJS were till about 2, and when you have optionals, then we had optional classes at odd times, but otherwise it was from like 10, 9:30 to 2. I couldn't intern during college. It was in vacations. So what's the homework required to secure an internship? Okay. And what is the preparation required to succeed in one? Okay. Now, this requires you to follow a backward process. Like, let's take an example of Aditya says that give me insights on how to approach internships for pursuing ADR. Okay. Maybe Aditya, you want to look at who are the, so you have 2 3 tools. Okay, I'm going to give you an example and I'm going to unveil this approach in depth on Sunday 6 to 9 p.m. Okay, and stay till the end. I'm going to share the registration link and it's free. Okay, so Aditya, what you're going to do is you're going to look at, you're great at case law, right? You know how to find case law. So look at Indian Qanun and find all the reported case laws last 6 months or last 1 year on arbitration. Supreme Court and High Courts, maybe High Court of your home state, okay, where you may want to work. If you want to work in Delhi, then Delhi. Also look at dispute practices of different law firms because arbitration is an important disputes practice area, okay. Look at those and you will find the lawyers who've either argued or worked on matters in firms or which pertain to arbitration. Okay, now look at the matters that the lawyers have argued. So you're not going to look at this law wise. You're not learning the law. You're finding the people who worked on arbitration in India first. Second, before you go to learning any law point, you look at identifying what was the matter like what was the sector, was it energy, was it construction, was it commercial, was it technology, was it investment, was it banking, what was it? Okay, and you identify, okay, how exactly did this lawyer help the client? Not the law, not the Supreme Court's judgment. Okay, but you use the judgment to find this information. You use the firm's profile. You can go to any law firm's website. You can go to 𝗀𝗵𝗁, Mangalas, Luthra, AZB's website. You'll find that, they'll say who are the dispute resolution partners, who heads it. You can look at Legally India, where it has reported that, who worked on which arbitration matter. That could be there, or it could be there on Live Law. Okay, so do that, and I will share more about this reverse engineering approach in terms of how to backtrace the practice area you want to work in and who are the sort of market leaders or what are the trends in that practice area, and then create a strategy to work on that, because this way you have an access to keep it real. You don't live in any fancies about what's the work that's happening. Otherwise, there's a tendency to just read the latest Supreme Court judgments, know the law, and just hope to work at arbitration based on that. And you'll be surprised to find out how much more there is to arbitration than the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, because that's a procedural law. By and large, it's a procedural law. The substance is contract, and there's so much more to it. So this exercise will help you. Okay. So now there is this one level of homework required to get an internship. Second level of homework is required to succeed in an internship. Okay. So for securing an internship, what do you need? You need to know who are the people or firms which are working in that area. You need to build a track record. You need to build a profile, right? So that you can secure the internship. If there's an interview, you may need to explain how you possess the skills. In the actual internship, you will need to do the work. You need to save your seniors time, deliver the value. Okay. And I'm going to show you the steps. There's a 5-step gap. I'll show you right now. Okay. But one thing to do on the way to an internship that can prevent you from going in the wrong direction is to get feedback every few weeks. Okay. Every time you finish a small piece of work for a senior, ask for feedback. Okay. And please make the senior comfortable to share feedback bluntly with you. Because what happens is, if you're an associate in the firm, they will be very blunt with you over time. But if you're an intern, they'll be like, no, I should be more respectful. I should be generic. Okay. No, you get the straight feedback and take it every 3 or 4 days. I'll give you an example from my internship as well. Like, my senior used to tell me, he's a college alumnus now and he's a partner at another law firm. Today, he used to say that you're a scamster. And I was like, why are you calling me a scamster? Because I've done the work so well. But I realized that I did a lot of good work. I worked hard, but there were few things where I was careless at. So I used to keep a few loose ends open, and he used to have to see that. So in some ways, I was doing much better as an intern, but in some places, I was just not diligent enough. And that's why he was saying that I'm a scamster. And that had value for me, right? So now you want to get that kind of value and identify why this is happening and fix it. Okay. So now you want to get this feedback every time. Like you want a company of, if possible, once in a while, your senior is taking a smoke break, or this is possible when the internship is offline, of course, or you want to come in early or stay back a little later, ask for feedback, or just find that kind of time to take a feedback in 2 or 3 minutes, not at the time when the senior is busy working, but at a time when he's kind of in a more relaxed mode. What are the good signs in an internship, and how do you recognize them? So good signs are yours getting work from more firstly directly a senior saying that thanks, that was great work. Okay, not just thanks for doing the work, that's like courtesy, right? But if they're saying that they found value in that, that is good. What else can be good signs? If they are giving you more work, overloading you with work, that is good. Okay, if they are taking the time to review your work, like they see your work or they ask you for where's your work, that is a good sign. If they are referring you to the senior associate or the principal associate or the partner, inviting you to the whole call, to a client call, or to a conference, and you're taking notes, that's a good sign that you're being actively involved in the work. If you're working on more than one matter, like you're working on more than one diligence at a time, or you're working on more than one let's say sometimes you get that work that, okay, research on all the rent control acts in the country, research on all the labor laws in the country for compliance, for a compliance manual, research on all the stamp duty provisions across the country for rent. Okay, those kind of tasks are there because that the firm wants to do for updating its knowledge management. But apart from that, if you're getting additional work also, okay, so you're working on 2 or 3 things at a time, that's great. Okay, so having multiple seniors to work with, connection, or at least getting to know new senior associates and partners, at least maybe a couple of senior associates, one partner, meeting them once, that's great. Getting a call back is definitely, but this happens at the end, right? So this you will not get immediately, and you will not know on a continuous basis whether this happened. So this one is a good one. Getting work to help, let's say, the knowledge management team or business development activities of the firm, or sometimes a senior giving you work to help on a personal project, say a research paper or a book that they're writing, that can be very helpful. Okay, that's a good sign because that means they're trusting you enough with their own work. What should you show in your internship application? So I've shared a brief idea of how to reverse engineer the process. And now the question is, what do you need to show in your internship applications to your seniors? You've got to show them that you're, that. So I'll tell you this. Okay. You think on your side, you'll think that if I've done moods, I've written articles, they should consider me as deserving of this. But what's going on in their mind, it's like a little light bulb. Okay. So think of a tool, maybe like a phone that you like, or if you are obsessed about laptops or Apple phones or MacBooks, whatever. Okay, how do you look at a product specification? Right, you're looking at, okay, this phone has 128 GB storage, this much RAM, this. Okay, so now if you're actually applying for a technology laws practice, a senior will look at this, that what is the technology law work you did. Okay, and trust me, there are patterns, and this work is capable of being captured in a repetitive way. Like there will be common issues that any technology law practice will work on in any firm. And when a senior sees that line in your CV, their light bulb goes on. Yeah, this is good. This is good. This is good. And when they see nothing relevant to that, they will be like, this is a general CV, and put it aside. Okay, so this is what your CV should have. Your covering letter has to be a regular, normal 2-3 liner with 1 or 2 highlights, no flattery. Okay, but your track record should go in. What is your track record? There will be times when your CV doesn't have enough space to say everything you did, and you may have done more stuff. For example, you wrote 20 articles in technology law. Where would you put it? Right, so you will put in 5 on the CV, maybe 20 on the CV, but how can they find out more about it. Do you want them to read 20 articles, or do you want to give them a free, you want to give them a summarized book, or you want to give them just a compiled PDF, all of that together? So you want to show a track record. Okay. Anything that sets you apart, anything new, okay, that is going to help. All right. What kind of network should you build to secure internships? So think about this. Why could you not have a similar network outside your internship? The same network you'd have in the internship, you'd meet people, right, who are working in the law firms. Now, today, everybody is there on LinkedIn. So it's possible for you to build the network even without having the internship. And it's possible for you to offer certain value. You can't work on the project of a firm, but you can work on the personal project of a senior. You can write on issues that are relevant to what a senior works on without having the internship in that firm. Right? So now there are 4 elements to building an effective network, okay, which are important. Otherwise, you will not be able to network effectively. You will not be able to get. And why is this networking important? Because you know that at some point of time or another, you may want a recommendation that I trust this person from a senior to the HR of the firm, that this person is definitely good. Give him an internship when the firm has a vacancy. That's all that you need, right? And that is needed sometimes because it's difficult to filter who will do well and who will not, because there's no trial, there's no test for you, right? They've not known you to work before. So that is why you got to build a network outside your internship also. And the goal is that if I ask them for help, they should be able to at least recommend me somewhere or refer me to somebody else. And you need to have a time frame. It doesn't happen instantaneously. Okay. And trust me, I take 3 hours, 6 hours of session on how to do this. I give people the 4 steps, yet your brain will want to cut it short and directly write to a big law firm partner on, I want to intern with you. That's not going to work. Networking, firstly, takes time, takes consistent activity. And there are 4 stages to networking. Okay. I will share this on Sunday, 6 to 9 p.m. 4 stages to effective networking must be followed. Otherwise, your networking will fail. If you do 3 out of 4 stages, networking won't work. If you do 0, it won't work. Most people do 1 step out of the 4 steps, and they do it for a very short period of time in their entire law school journey, which is where networking fails for them. Okay. So I will help you identify what to do to build your network to secure internships and to increase your chances of getting good internships. Then the next thing is that, yeah, this is one of the components, how to nurture your network and how to nurture relationships, because you got to know somebody. That's like adding somebody on LinkedIn is as good, or actually a little lesser than even getting a business card. Now, how do you actually utilize that network is by knowing ways in which to nurture those relationships. If you don't know that, you can't nurture your network. So, quick summary. What is needed to secure your first internship in your relevant practice area? There are 5 steps for one internship. You master these steps, you will get any number of internships in any practice area that you want. You need skills demonstrated by evidence, because skills in the head doesn't work because you're not there, that you don't have a trial attempt. Then you need practice area specific track record. Again, some articles on that area. Step 3, you will need a network. Once in a while, you want somebody to put in a word that at least give this internship. Give one internship to this guy or girl when you have a vacancy open in the firm. 4th, internship applications to the right places, which have vacancies, which take interns, all of that ahead of time, because just before the internship, everybody will be applying. Follow-ups. All 5 steps are needed to be done properly. The next step is converting the internship into a PPO, but you don't get here without following these 5 steps. Okay, right? Now your job after this is again 5 steps. Convince seniors to give you work. And most people are like, stop here, meaning they don't even do step 1. They expect and they assume that the internship will take care of itself. You understand what that means? The internship will literally take care of itself. But you've got to convince the seniors to give you work. You got to perform the work like an associate. This is the 1 level up concept that I was talking about. Okay. And this is never going to be a matter of hard work. You will end up doing 24 hours of donkey work and not do the work like an associate, which you can do in 6 hours or 7 hours if you have the right skills to do the work. Okay. So you will have to perform this work. That will build trust. Do this for the whole month to get a callback for another internship. Then do well again. Repeat step 2 in step 3. so that you can get an interview for a PPO. Okay. This could be a third internship or an assessment internship or a direct interview, and then crack the interview. And successful students will not be preparing for step 1, they will be preparing for step 5. Okay, which is why you're here to understand how to get the PPO. So you are looking at step 1 here to get your first important internship, to step 5 here to convert the internship into a PPO, right? Okay, so now to learn how to crack this process in a lot more detail, where you identify, okay, how do I build my practice area specific expertise? How do I write these articles? I'm going to share a link for you to register for free. This is a free workshop, guys. 3 hours, first time free on this topic. Okay, it's called. So I'm just sharing the link where you can register. On chat also, I will share this. How to get an internship or a job in a law firm. I'll just share the themes here. Okay, so this is the link. So I am inviting you to come here on Sunday evening. Okay, register now, it's free. So just complete the registration. I'm waiting for 2 minutes so that you can click on the link, click on and register here. What's going to happen here? You're going to be identifying what are the reasons people fail to get internships, how to build these 4 elements: track record, practice area specific skills, network, all of that. Okay. And you'll also practice how to identify from your chosen field, from your chosen area, any area, whether it's of your interest or not, as far as it pertains to law, how to find out the work that's being done by the top players in the market, and how to, and then you will build a roadmap to learn that work. Okay, so how many of you are registering? Let me know on chat. Who's registering for this? Great. So I'm going to see you all there, and we're going to have a blast on Sunday. Great, Pranav. Okay, also continue to attend my sessions for the next few days on, I'll just tell you, 19 December, 4 p.m., day after tomorrow. I'm not from an NLU. How can I compete with graduates from top NLUs? And then I have a series of other webinars which will be coming up. Come on Sunday, actually, I will share those with you later. Okay, that is for continued value. I'll send. So there's 22nd. I'm telling you the time. Okay, 7:30 p.m. is what you got a block. 26th, 4 p.m. 28th, 7:30 p.m. For now, I would suggest that you register for this workshop, and we'll take care of the rest. Okay, to guide you and we'll say how you can stay engaged later again. So now, quick opportunity to share how you can, what can you apply from today's session to your life right now. What can you apply from this session to your internship or law school right away? Great. So anybody else who registered, let me know. Quite a few of you have registered. Very good. This link is there below. Those of you who are watching in YouTube, this will be there on the description page. Okay, great. Super, Nibha. Very good, Ritik, Sanjana, Himanshi, Shambhavi, Ayushi, Kshitij, Pranav, Riya, Shreya, Fida, Madhu. Got it. Rimjim, yeah. Okay. Okay, Pranav. Reverse engineering. Vikash, okay. Who else? Got it. Good, Vikash. Okay, so who else is going to share what else what can you apply to today, tomorrow, right away? What can you apply from this? First step, to find your area of interest instead of doing random internships. Okay, but don't get stuck, Nibha, with your area of interest. Your area of interest has to be to provide solutions wherever necessary. Okay, and definitely don't do random internships. And it takes easily 5 internships to crack this approach reliably in one area. You want to have a good chance of getting a PPO, you want to maximize that, do 5 internships in one area. Doesn't matter if it's different firms. At least aim for 3 internships in one firm if you want to crack a job there. 2 internships to have a chance. 1 internship is just touch and go. Okay. So, and a total of 5 internships in that practice area. That's what you got to aim for. All right. So, I'm going to call it a day and have a great evening, everybody. Sagar has asked me a question. You want to understand the scope and role of international tax and how law firms work on it, opportunities for internships. Okay, Sagar, sure. So we can discuss that on Sunday. And international tax is a major practice area for any full service law firm and niche tax law firms. So international tax, transfer pricing, advisory is a very important area. We teach this work, and a lot of our students get internships in firms in tax, irrespective of the fact that they may not be in fifth year. Like, students from second year also get internships in tax firms because if they study this area. So, and there are really good opportunities in international tax. It's one of the more complex and difficult areas. So you should keep in mind that whichever area is complex and difficult, there's going to be more and more premium for lawyers to do that work, and less people want to do it because people think, I don't know accounts, I don't know economics, I don't know maths. But all of that is not the case. Okay. So Sagar, we can discuss this at length on Sunday. All right, everybody, so thank you very much and see you all tomorrow in the session. There's a session coming up. It's tomorrow, right? And on Sunday also at 6 to 9 p.m. So all the best. Cheers and bye.